Welcome to our college counseling Zoom. We are going to get started. I'm going to introduce myself. I'm Nina Newman. I'm the Director of Admission and Financial Access at King School. I work with families from pre-K all the way up through senior year, and they all want to know about our fabulous college counseling program. So I think probably joining us tonight is a wide range of ages of parent or of kids, their parents tonight as well. And I'm really delighted to introduce you to my fellow panelists. So we're going to start with our college counseling office. Jessica, do you want to introduce yourself?
Sure. Hi, everyone. My name is Jessica Landis. I'm the Director of College Counseling at King. I am in my 13th year working at King, my ninth as director. Prior to that, I spent 5 years working in undergraduate admissions at NYU, and really just found myself wanting to work more one-on-one with students in a more personalized way than the college admission side really allows. And that brought me to King, where I've been ever since.
Thank you. David?
Hi, everyone. My name is David Villain. I'm the Senior Associate Director of College Counseling. This is my 10th year at King. And prior to coming to King, I worked in admissions for 7 years at the University of Vermont, where I recruited right here in Westchester and Fairfield County. And as much as I loved my time in admissions, as Jessica alluded to, the more time you spend in an admissions office, the more time you may find yourself in branding meetings and marketing discussions, all of which are very interesting, but I found took me away from working with students, the reason I was originally interested in this work. So when I had the opportunity to switch sides of the desk, as we say, and joined the team at King, a school that I knew well from my time recruiting here, I was really excited to join a wonderful school community.
Thanks, David. And as a special treat, we were able to rope past parents and trustees and parent volunteers extraordinaire, Eric Gerster and Minnie Nuna back. But I will let you introduce yourself. Minnie, do you want to
Sure.
talk a little bit about your all the hats you wore here at King?
Sure. My name is Minnie Nuna. We were parents. We were a family at King for, I think, 7, 8 years. Our daughter Lena graduated in 2022, which means she is now a senior in college. And while we were at King, I did a number of parent volunteer roles, ending with being PA president during 2021 and 21-22. So have a lot of experience being a parent volunteer and being in the community and trying to stay engaged and involved. And I had a lot of the same questions I think that all of you might have as well.
Thanks, Minnie. Eric?
Sure. So I'm Eric Gerster. In addition to being Minnie's husband and also the parent of our daughter Lena, who graduated from King, I was also a trustee board member at King for, I believe, 9 years. And last year I stepped down from that, so I served for a number of years after my time there, and so I had a lot of exposure to the college counseling process, both as a parent and seeing it as a board member.
Thanks so much, Eric. So we're going to kick it off with some questions, and I really do want to make sure that we answer our guests' questions too. So if you have questions as a guest, please use the Q&A feature at the bottom of the screen. I'll kick it off with a few that I had prepared, and then I will move over to your questions in a few minutes. So Jessica, could you just please begin with an overview of our four-year developmental college counseling program?
Absolutely. Yeah, so our 4-year model at King is relatively unusual. Most college counseling offices really focus on those last 2 years of high school, the junior and senior year. But about 12 years ago, we really saw an opportunity to engage with families earlier in the high school timeline. It felt sort of obvious to us that as families were coming to us with questions in ninth or 10th grade, that, saying, oh, don't worry about that right now, we'll talk to you in a few years, wouldn't really be alleviating any stress and was probably actually increasing their stress. And we felt like moving to a 4-year model would really give us opportunity to address questions that people have as they're coming up. And so that was kind of the impetus behind our decision to start assigning students to a college counselor in the ninth grade year. And so the goal there was really to have a point person in our office so that instead of sort of feeling this wall of, come back to us in a couple of years and we'll speak to you, right from the beginning of high school, students and their families felt like, okay, I have a person I've going to be working with now through the rest of high school, somebody I can go to when I have questions about what courses to take, or I'm enjoying a club. How can I deepen my involvement in this particular extracurricular area? Or, more so on the parent side, questions about the college landscape that has changed a lot, certainly since when I was applying to college and continues to change. And so we wanted people to feel that there was a person they could go to and really start building that relationship early in high school. We certainly stress that we are not making college lists with any student in ninth grade, but we are getting to know them. We are having that opportunity to be sort of part of their circle at King, someone they can go to about whatever questions they might have and help to kind of get them on that right path. So along the way, we hope to set realistic goals and expectations and make adjustments. The college process is shifting quite rapidly from year to year. And so our program also is designed to be able to adapt to those needs. So what we might do with one ninth grade class might look a little bit different a few years down the road as things change and as we keep current with those trends.
Thanks so much. Minnie, can you please share with us Lena's experience and how it compared to your experience with a different school for your older daughter?
Sure. So our older daughter went to Greenwich High School. She graduated in 2018. And I think like most public schools and actually like a lot of private schools in the area, as Jessica just mentioned, counseling programs do not start until junior year. And actually at Greenwich, during the time frame we were there, it actually didn't start till second semester of junior year. And that was when you could actually get an appointment with your guidance counselor to talk about the college process because there's 700 kids per class. I mean, just the volume alone makes you really think about like how much is on these counselors' plates. And so we realized pretty quickly during junior year that we were going to have to make an investment and hire somebody outside of school to help her with that process. And we did, and it was successful. And, it worked out very well for her. But coming to King, I don't know that we thought we would have to use it, but we knew we had it in our back pocket. And I think we were somewhat expecting that we were going to have to fall back on it as or a piece of it, because you can take out pieces of, you could do writing or this or that. And it was really so refreshing to come into the upper school freshman year and get to meet the college counseling team and to see that there was touch points throughout the year, freshman and sophomore year, for the students to be able to discuss their coursework, discuss their writing, discuss like what their extracurricular activities are, what they could be doing, what they could be trying. And so as Lena's high school career went on, it became, I think, more apparent to both Eric and myself that we probably didn't need anybody else outside because she had counselors who were helping her with her coursework plus an advisor, plus there used to be a summer writing workshop for personal statement, I think, with Dr. Gigante. So I don't know if that's still available. So she had a lot of opportunities to work on her package, per se, like if we want to say it like that. And she had a lot of opportunities to work through the stressors of that. And I think that is really incredibly valuable. And when she hit her first ED, she was in the college counseling office with her counselor pressing the button. And she was with Jessica. So and it's so funny that we're meeting tonight because BC's early admissions just came out tonight. So it's just really kind of full circle that we're here tonight. But yeah, I mean, she applied to school with someone in the office, which I think is really great. And I do feel like there was also a lot of opportunity for parents. to engage with the counselors and teachers and advisors and whatnot to be able to say, okay, this is what we're concerned about. Um, and it was just a great experience. And if you're, I don't know if you all still do the junior year thing where you pretend to have roundtables, admissions roundtables. Okay, if you ever have the opportunity to do that, sign up for it as fast as you can because the admissions roundtable workshop is really fascinating. And I think every school should do it. So we had a great experience, two very different experiences that were both successful, but it's really great to have it all in one place.
Jessica, do you want to just explain what that roundtable workshop
Sure.
is?
Yeah, I know David's going to talk a little bit
Okay, well, we
about
can
some of that, so maybe I'll wait for him to
great.
address because I know he was planning to. Yeah.
Perfect. So, David, I was hoping you could speak to some of the resources that parents and students have that maybe they wouldn't even know that they would benefit from, especially if they don't have college-age children yet.
Sure. Yeah. And I think, Minnie, you just alluded to some of the things that I find most valuable at King, particularly as I think about just the structure of our office and the culture of college counseling at the school. One of the things that really attracted me to come to King, actually, as I was looking to become a college counselor, was the accessibility of counselors for students. So, unlike many college counseling offices, so we have four full-time college counselors, and because of that, we have very small caseloads. So each of us has about 25 students, maybe a few more, a few less in a given year, but generally around 25 compared to 40 to 50 that you might see even at many independent schools. So that really allows us to get to know students well in a way that feels like by the time they're applying to college and we're writing recommendations for them and talking to them about their goals, we really have a great sense of who they are and how we can best support them. One of the ways that I found, though, that that really allows us to be helpful to them is that we are all 12-month employees. So if you think about the timeline of a college application process, in many schools, there's this sort of weird timeline where they're researching colleges and looking into schools, and then they go away for the summer, and then they come back in the fall, and it's time to apply to college. And we find that having our counseling staff available during the summer provides a lot more runway for us to serve as a resource for them as they work on their applications, their essays, as they make any considerations about changes to their list. So they don't feel like they have to do that in a vacuum or that they need to seek outside counsel. We can support them through all of that in our office. In addition to those interpersonal relationships with students, we have a lot of programming structured to both support them through their search process, but also just to answer student and parent questions. The most common way I would say our students will find information about colleges is actually through admissions officers coming to us. So every fall, we have probably around 100 colleges that will come to campus, and the admissions officer will meet with our students, talk about the programming they offer, and answer any questions that they may have. It's also a great opportunity for us to pick their brain and stay aware of trends going on in the admissions world and assure that we know the information we need to best support them. We also have a couple of technological resources that we'll use. One is called Maya Learning. It's a database that has lots of information related to different programming available at different colleges and universities, both academic, extracurricular. And then resources for things like exploring their own academic interests and finding out careers that might be a good fit. So there's a lot that we'll do with them in there. It's also the software that we eventually use to send all of their documents electronically. There's no more pre-addressed envelopes in the counseling office. So we want to make sure that everything is taken care of from step A to step Z, and that they feel like there's a good plan in place. We'll also use a program called College Kickstart. It will allow students to enter their college list and get a sense of whether it's well balanced. So while we want them to be aspirational, we also want to make sure that there's a strong foundation to that pyramid of schools on their list, of places that they're both excited about and that are likely to admit them. And that allows our students and families to have a sense of confidence in their plan as they're building that college list and planning to apply in the fall. We also will partner with different departments within the school for students applying with particular needs. So, for example, students looking at programs in the visual arts. We'll work with our faculty in the Department of Art and Design to help them as they make choices around which pieces might make most sense to include in a portfolio, or faculty within our performing arts department as students look to decide on songs that they might include if they're applying to a music or musical theater program. So we want to make sure that anything that they might have that falls outside of our area of expertise, as they certainly don't want my guidance when it comes to singing, we still want to make sure that they have the resources and that we can help connect them with those resources so that they feel supported throughout their process. The same is true for our prospective student athletes. We work hand in hand with our athletics department to make sure that students have a sense not only of where it might make sense to reach out and try to form connections with coaches and teams as they look to opportunities at the college level, but also that we have a strong plan in place for email outreach, building a highlight reel, and really a plan of action as they look to engage folks at the college level. We also have programming around financial aid and helping families not only to understand what the financial aid application process looks like at the college level, but also to make thoughtful decisions before they're getting to junior and senior year so that they feel well prepared for something that is one of the most expensive things they might buy in their lifetime. So these are big choices, and we really want to make sure that families feel supported as they're navigating it. The case study program that you referred to earlier is something we'll do often as a part of our college counseling seminar for students and then as well for parents. So the seminar is a spring semester program where our juniors will come in once per schedule rotation to talk about a different aspect of the college search process. So that includes everything from brainstorming ideas for their college essay to starting to fill out the Common App to discussing effective resources they might use to find information regarding the colleges that they're exploring and discussing letters of recommendation and how they might approach that. The case study program is an opportunity for students and parents to take on the role of an admissions officer. We present them with hypothetical applicants to a hypothetical college and put them in the seat to decide who they will admit, waitlist, and deny, so that they can understand the factors that admissions officers are considering. So we try to introduce them to a diversity of situations that might arise, but really want them to get a sense of how that process works so that they can take that information and then apply it to their own thinking as they enter the application process themselves.
I would just add to that the case studies program, we do bring in outside admissions representatives to lead those. So again, the students in a small group will sit with an admissions representative. The parents will do theirs with an admissions representative who can add additional context of this is how the review process at my school might work. These are the considerations maybe you haven't quite thought of, but that we would be looking at when we're actually making these decisions. So it goes sort of just beyond the hypothetical fake students in front of you to really gaining that insight from someone who is working in that field every day.
Great, thank you. Eric, as a former board member and former parent, you really got to wear two hats in experiencing the college, our college counseling program. Could you share your thoughts on our team and our approach?
Yeah, absolutely. As Minnie said, we had the opportunity to see two very different approaches. And I think what we really found is, no surprise from somebody who spent as much time at King as we did and as involved as we became. The King community is there for you in college counseling as it is in so many other areas of the school. And it starts with Jessica, leading the team, but David and Emily and Julie, just a great team of four people there. And they work, from what I saw, and I think they've already said this, as a team. So if Jessica was working with Lena, that didn't mean that David didn't know what was going on with Lena, so that if Jessica was out and Lena came in with a question, they were talking to each other and keeping that process integrated amongst everybody, amongst all the students, and they're all intimately involved in that. I think one of the things that I certainly saw as a board member, where every year Jessica would come in and give all the stats after the college process was done. And every year we always had, I thought, such an amazing college list from beginning to end of the process. What's amazing and what you can really take advantage of as parents is the college counseling team is very good at guiding you as parents and the students at the schools that they are going to have a great opportunity to apply to and potentially get into. And I think Jessica and the team are very open and honest about, this is a school that you're going to have a really good chance to get into. There's never a guarantee, obviously, and they all know better than I do, especially in this environment. These are schools that, boy, that's really a reach for you. If you really want to take a chance, you can, but it's probably a reach. And she ranks along with the team every year how she thinks the probabilities are for each school and how that works out. And I would say it's an incredibly high percentage that she gets right and they get right as a team with their knowledge and experience. And I think that's invaluable, because I think one of the things that we definitely saw with our other daughter and some of her friends at other schools, the experience when you don't get either honest advice about whether you can get into a school or not, or how to set up the right way if you want to go to a school, that can lead to disappointment, and that disappointment can spread to the entire experience. Even though I would say it all works out. I mean, having seen it now with two children, one who's 4 years out of college, one who's a senior in college, it all works out for all the kids, whether they get into that first choice school when they're 18 or 17 years old, or whether they get into a school later in the process. It does all work out, and the team is there the whole way with them.
Thanks so much. Jessica, early decision is a hot topic right now and actually has been for a little while now. Can you share how you and your team think about it, and what percentage of our students apply ED, and a little narrative about our success rate there?
Yeah, absolutely. So just to kind of define for people who aren't familiar, early decision is an option that some, but not all schools offer for students, where essentially if the student applies through a binding early decision program, they are saying to the college, if you admit me, I will come. So of course you can apply only to one school during that first early decision round. It is your top choice and the place that, if admitted, you will be going to that school. As you can imagine, because students are making that commitment up front at many schools, that can increase their chances of getting into that particular school, because for many colleges, they like certainty. They like to know that, they don't have to admit 5 students and hope one will take the spot, if they can simply admit one student that they're really excited about and know that that student is coming. So for our class, roughly in a given year, I would say somewhere between 50 to 60% of our class will choose an early decision school to apply to. And we tend to see a lot of success in that round. I looked at sort of just the past 5 years, and our acceptance rate for students overall applying to schools early decision over the past 5 years ranged from 61% of those students being admitted in one year, all the way up to 74% of those students admitted to their ED1 school, and sort of in between there. So it's a very successful round overall for us. There are valid reasons why students decide not to apply early decision. So it's not something where we say, sometimes students start from a premise of, I have to have an early decision school, but then they realize their top choice doesn't offer early decision, so it wouldn't really make sense to bind themselves to a different school if they have another school that they prefer to go to that doesn't offer that option. Or they might not have that really clear top choice, right? They're 17, 18 years old, and they may want to take a little more time and kind of see what their options are. And in some cases, families want to compare financial aid packages across the board and don't feel like they're really ready to just say, we're all in on this one school, and whatever they say it costs, if my child gets in, that's what we're paying. So there are some caveats to that. But again, I would say half to, slightly over 60% of the class is typically choosing to apply early decision somewhere. If we sort of look at those categorizations of schools that we talked about before, where, we might say this is a likely school for you, meaning we're really confident you should be admitted here, or a target where it might go either way, or a reach school where we're saying, this might be a stretch for you, we're not sure. The majority of our students attending a school that was classified as a reach for them did get into that school through a binding early decision program. So we do see there is a lot of value there in getting into that more selective school, where it might be a stretch for the student. That is where we see a lot of value for that.
And again, that's why where these relationships and the expertise of the team is so invaluable because to be able to have those conversations, to know the kids so intimately, and to really know the schools and their process so well makes these
Yeah.
conversations, to Eric's point, just a lot more meaningful as opposed to, well, we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, and I think it was a good point. I spent an hour today speaking with a ninth grade family that was recently assigned to my caseload, and they had some really good questions. And one of their questions was, how honest, how transparent are you if, we're coming to you with a group of schools and you think this will never happen? Are you telling us that? Are you telling us my daughter can't apply to these schools? Or are you just saying, oh, figure it out? And, first of all, we're never telling anyone they can't apply to a school. We will support students at any school they want to apply to. And we are transparent. It does no one any favors for us to sort of sit on this information if we know I don't see any pathway for admission, but your second choice, I think, really might happen if you're willing to go early decision there. We would much rather tell you that information and then support whatever choice you make as a family than to feel like we're going to keep that to ourselves and let you figure it out. We want to be there to advise you as best as we can.
Thank you. So this is my last question. So if any of you are watching and want to make sure you get your question in, put it in so that we can get to that as well. But Minnie, one of my favorite things to witness is at King is how excited students are for each other when they are admitted into their top choice colleges. And I wonder if as a parent, you got to see that as well, both support from Lena's friends, but also her genuine enthusiasm for her friends.
Certainly. I think it's a small place. And so it's, every day, tomorrow morning, it will be, there will be smiles and not smiles or whatever, like every day of this ED process. And as it goes on, I think there's a huge amount of relief. And I think it's really exciting. I know that I can only speak for Lena's personal group. Her friends were very, very excited for her. And I think once but there is always that understanding of like, oh my gosh, this is very stressful for everybody else. And I think the student body was always very respectful of that. And I know that Marnie and the administration and the counseling team really spend a lot of time talking with the class as a whole, the senior class, about expectations and supporting each other and realizing that, not everybody gets into their first choice or their top choice. And it's stressful. Like it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you find out in April and you got into your top choice or you've gotten in December, it's still stressful. But I do think that having that group of people around you that are really excited for you is so it really is something to special to witness at King. I think you just don't find it everywhere else. You really don't. So it was a wonderful thing to see.
Great, thank you. Just a point of clarification, David, you mentioned that that each counselor has approximately 25 students per grade. How does that sort of look? Because obviously you're working with some ninth grade, you're touching upon kids in every grade. So how do you sort of think about attention and time and sort of structuring
Yeah.
those relationships?
So I think one of the really nice things about having really small caseloads like that is that our time isn't as restricted. So like certainly during the fall of September and October, we are meeting a lot more frequently with seniors as they are working on their application processes. but we still have time to meet with juniors as they have questions about college visits they might go to, and time to meet with ninth graders who have questions about extracurricular opportunities and getting involved, and questions from 10th graders about the standardized testing that we'll have them take in the spring of the year of their sophomore year. One other thing is that we don't teach formal classes outside of our college counseling seminar. So at many schools, it might be that this teacher also, or this counselor also has 2 U.S. history courses that they teach. Our schedules are very open, and that availability to meet with students, I think, is both what allows us to not only support them when it comes to their application process as needed, but also allows us to get to know them before we're talking about deadlines and SATs and FAFSA applications. It allows us to understand where their interests are and what drives them before we have to think about the Common App. So for me, I find that really valuable because it allows us to put high school before college and allows them to ask themselves later on what they're looking for in their college experience before they're worrying about what the college is asking of them.
One other clarification, just because I would say it's a difference between most public schools, not all, and independent schools. We are not the social emotional counselors. We have 2 counselors who are part of the team at King that students can go to for the social emotional kind of other things that might go on in high school. But our caseloads that we are working with really are specifically on the college process itself, which does also, in terms of time management, mean that we're not dividing our time between a student who might be dealing with a different type of personal situation, and suddenly we have to prioritize that over a college application that is handled by, 2 totally different offices. Although, of course, there's emotional components to the college process, and we do partner closely with our colleagues over in the school counseling office as well.
That's a great point. Thank you. We have a current parent who just added to the chat that it's important for us to highlight that when David was talking earlier about us being, or you being available to students during the summer, what that means is that students can have an application and main essay done before the start of school, their senior year. And what a big relief that is for everyone involved to have that done before senior year starts. So thank you for adding that in, Ariel.
I think one of the other things that parents should take note of is it can be very stressful as a parent trying to encourage your student to write their college essays over the summer before. And so it's very helpful to have that third party in your college counselor and Dr. Gigante and other parties to help push that process along so that you can avoid those disagreements in that last summer that you have them home before they become a senior in college, high school.
There's another King parent who may have served on the board with you, Eric, who used to sort of say, they'll nag your kids so that you don't have to be the ones to do it. And I thought that was a pretty articulate way of putting it.
It makes me think, though, that in addition to the nagging part, different families do have different dynamics. And I have seen a lot of families utilize the counselors in different ways. Sometimes it's, advocating a little bit for the kid to have a little bit more voice. And how do I tell my mom I don't want to go to that school? Or sometimes it is, trying to give the kids sometimes some honest truth that the parents don't want to give, or lots of different ways it works out. But to Eric's point, really great to have another party who cares so much about the success of your child. So thank you everyone for joining us tonight, especially to Eric and Minnie who came out for us tonight. I really appreciate it. And also to Jessica and David who support our kids every day, all day long. Thanks to the guests for joining us. Please let me know if you have any follow-up questions. I'd be happy to put you in touch with the right person.